Greetings, dear friends. In this session, we will implement the visual part for our blog. It will be a dynamic blog similar to what we did for the news. So let's move to the code and start by creating a duplicate of the single news block, meaning we will use single news as a starting template. I press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V and rename it. This blog will be called Single Game. Next, I will go through the metadata and rename them as well. Single game, single game, single game. This blog probably won't have any attributes. We added all this data using meta boxes and taxonomies. Essentially, it will be dynamic and PHP will fetch this content. For the admin panel, we can generate it using the render component, which we will write in PHP, or we can create a placeholder. This is a case where we can use render because we will mainly load this block right here, specifically in the product editing area, and all the data is present because it is set right here. Let's go back. Let's quickly go through edit. So what do we have here? We don't need to edit anything here except for this. The key is already single game. Everything else seems to remain the same in terms of CSS, so it's empty. By the way, we always leave it empty, but we can do the following. If there is no code, yes. First, we remove the loading to make it empty. Why load this file itself? We delete it and also remove it from the JS block. So this editor script is no longer needed. Next, save returns us, well, since this is a dynamic block and style, let's change it. The main selector is single games. Next, according to the markers, immediately at the top is 48. At the bottom 120, here there is some kind of error, so it will be 120. This does not take into account. This is already a design issue. So margin button, we leave the 120 marker, top 48, here 48, it's not such a big value. And even if on mobile, it will be 48. On desktop, it's okay for me, so I hard code it, not using clamp, I just make it 48. Next, I will probably temporarily delete everything else, then we will proceed to writing the styles. The next step is registering this block. Let's probably close all the files, except for this one with the styles, as we will be writing a lot of styles. And looking here, here is the file block game 100. Let's register it. So it doesn't matter where, at the last position, wherever you feel comfortable, we register it. So this is our single game. We will create a callback for it called single game. I copy the name for this callback, go to the blocks and create this callback. Next, I start the compiler. Everything is great, the compiler is working. Let's check the functionality of this block. Refresh the page. And here, instead of this text, we will load it as a single game. And here we get Pilou. Wonderful. And let's open this page in a new tab. Now, when I open this page, I get the template and only then what we write in the content. Why does this happen? Because it sees or in the Camus. I still use the same template. We will move on. In the editor, let's edit this. Go to templates and look for single radar. West, it has open in tree view. This will be more convenient, and let's figure out what we will keep and what we will hide. So breadcrumbs are not in our layout, not used anywhere, so they can be safely removed. Remove them In store notice, this block needs to be kept as it is kind of a system block. Let's call it that. Next, in these columns, we just have data. This block, let's just figure out where it is. Aha, it's in our description. Select the content block and columns. Remove from here. Remove this, you want to, and related products. Remove as well. Save, and let's take a look now. And now we get the following structure. Firstly, we have this block, the for notice, and our content block. Next, we need to add our custom class to this group. Add basic styles to it. Therefore, on the group, we'll add a custom class. Game store single game. Next, since on this page the single block will load anyway, I will also write these styles into this block, but outside the main selector. And what styles will I write for it? Firstly, besides this class, we will probably add a wrapper. Add a so as not to duplicate its style like this wrapper, and then this personal class, and add display flex to it. Flex direction. Law. Next, G, I don't set these 1 or 20 because they are inherited as margins from the blocks. Therefore, the gap will be 0. We simply do not set it. And I don't know, on this element that we have inside here, we will probably set the width. I assume that because it currently has little content, it won't take up 100% of the width. And let's see what's happening. So here it saved something is not going as we need. Basically, it's going as expected, except for the width. So the width is inherited here. Let's see. And these paddings need to be reset. Paddings, reset them. And the width, we have a different block here. I set 100% on this block, but we have a content block. So change the selector. 100%. On the parent block like this, let's say we'll set it like this. Okay, now what is this gap? Gap, most likely WordPress related, 48, then still need to reset. And in principle, everything related to this block, further everything we will do, we will add as blocks. For single, there will be different layers for each product, and this last. Block similar game. Here we are, already on the territory. Here in the admin panel, it will be added as a separate block after this group or in the same group. Let's update now the admin panel. We should also have a new offset here now, and for this block as well. Let's add 100% width. Okay, good. We can return to our product now. We have made the template. Let's fill in the call to action data for the product to ensure the width. It works for us. And we won't need additional manipulation with the group block. Yes, here's the problem. We will probably get rid of the idea of using a wrapper and in general get rid of the idea of using a group. Let's go back to the editor again. Enter the tree, and here we will pull out our elements outside the group. Of course, you can leave it without any problems, just need to remove the class. But I am removing the group. Save it like this. Wonderful. And the second point is on this block, which is not mine, which I cannot influence. So where is it? This one right here. I will add my wrapper to it so that it doesn't disappear. This wide, because of this. Here we will no longer have this data. We will have this notice block. The width will be 100%, but the maximum width will be 1540. Like this. And when this block appears, it will already use the wrapper marker, which we will look at later. Whether they are needed or not, we will use the same structure for this block as we did before. In this course, it doesn't have a global selector yet, and the structure hasn't been made. Well, I guess we'll get to that now. Let's take the previous block as a sample. Insert it under here, remove the entire body. But what's important now is that we have the get block, rapport attribute, and the style that I write here will already be applied further. Let's look at the width. Do we need a background image? No, a background image is not needed. There's nothing here. So inside we will have a separate container for the wrapper. You can set it directly here, as we have done before, or use a separate container. I think using a separate container will be simpler and clearer, easier to read, so that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, regarding the content, we call this block. Not just anywhere, but specifically on the single product page. This means that if we take the global ID of the current page, we can get the product object. Using it, having the product object, we can retrieve all its data. We did something similar in one of the first game line blocks when we were working on it. But there we had a loop. We were getting these products in the loop, and we used the ID. Using this page, we created a product object, and I can do the same thing here. Essentially, we will a certain variable called game, and using getVid, this function takes the global current ID for the page where we are, and the vecjet product function will form this product object, and we will have this object. Let's try using printer. Output it, take a look, and make sure everything is okay there. So here we are getting this product, and directly we can now access the data using additional methods. All right, regarding the data, what structure do we have? For the site layout, and there is the main content container for the content, so to speak, because for the sidebar, use the site with the class game. image. There we will store the image and icons, probably immediately opening, closing, since there will be several elements there. Next, and for the content, we will have game content, so let's go up and recall methods. For the image, we can get the image in this way, but I will be placing the image inside another container. It's wonderful that I had this method in the clipboard, but with a different variable, as you saw. But Pilot understood what I want to do. It works wonderfully overall. And let's look now. Logically, we should have a large image. Yes, it's loading perfectly. I'm loading a large image, but maybe it could be smaller. Perhaps this isn't the case where we need full, maybe large is enough. But in any case, we will set its dimensions. Nice, TSS. Better to use large. After the image, there will be icons. Let's talk about the icons. Oh, look at that. It understood that right away. How is that? How is that possible? Okay, so here's my Figma, right? My Figma is linked with the editor. Oh no, I logged out. So it doesn't see my file. But most likely it's not magic. And here we have a block where I am the product. Let's make sure of this product. I'm pulling out the project. Right here. I don't know how it works, but in any case, it's amazing. So I was about to copy paste this manually. But it turns out that it's not necessary. Copy paste. Let's check. Without editing, it guessed the IDs. Yes, indeed. Look. Look at what's happening. It's wonderful. All right. Let's move on to the right part. In the right part, we will write here. We will have a certain container, which will have a header and a meta field for the image. Let's call it product description. Top init. We will have an H1 for the header. And separately, there will be a meta for this image. Let's put it in a separate variable. Let's call the game image, not game image, but game badge. And here, we will perform a check on the meta. Let's take this function, getPost meta. Only this page sing and we retrieve its ID. Let's remember to check so we leave the territory. We have an error. Let's comment it out here for now. Let's go to the product page and refresh our memory. For this field, game like match. So we take 1. value, set it as a string. If it's there, then we return, etc. Otherwise, well, and as a link, we set this value, but with URL or something. When outputting links, we try not to forget to escape. I very often forget to do this when recording, but now I'm programming. Therefore, always, when it's a link, use QRL. If we are in an attribute, but not in the case of links, then with Qatar it's always important. If it's just some value, then with cachemate. And now on the page, we will have a title and an image. A wonderful title and image. These data are also present now. Next, we have taxonomies. List. If you knew how lazy I feel right now, writing this taxonomy, you get used to it very quickly. The map is filled from the egg. It's nothing serious. We'll come up with something. Now, so we have the class, product, languages. And inside here, we need to display them. We'll probably set a variable and display them a bit higher. Let's try to ask Copilot for help. And at the same time, we'll also take the IT specialists, the correct ones. We are making a very trivial request. Let's take this code that the chat generated for us. I'll start with the variable languages. Set all the terms that are found, but we refer, pass our ID, pass the taxonomies. It's languages for us. Next, we perform a check on languages. If it doesn't return any errors, then in the loop, we'll complete it. In this way, we go through the loop, and for each iteration, we will set the next value in this variable, give the class language item, and there we will put the name of this language. And essentially now in this variable we should have the languages Here are the languages that are attached to the current post. Just in case, let's check by disabling a language. For example, German. German is no longer there. In the list, it's great. Next, a brief description. Let's see. Only in the get description method do we have a brief description. Or not, you see, in get description. We have the full description. Let's check if there is get except. Or short description, I don't remember all the methods. No, except, no. Let's short description. Check. Yes, The method is called short description. We got it. Next, we have platforms. So we do something similar to what we did for languages, only now for platforms. And by the way, it's probably wrong too. Here I use game, here I use product. Let's use game everywhere. We should stick to some standard. And make the same batch of code for platforms. The only key. Let's check. Here's the form, our key. Looks correct. Let's see on the page if it displays platforms. So it displays well, but we have already used these classes. For icons, we'll just change the classes. Here. That is a text class. We won't have a conflict. Okay, and besides that, we also have hard-coded platform values here. We will set it too, but we will set it probably only in the case when we have some platforms, because if there aren't any, we won't set anything, so we will put it in the first position here. Let's think about how to do this. Well, yes, we'll just do it in the first position. But outside the loop, without a colon, we won't be the focus, it's the word platforms. We'll assign it a label. So then it's a matter of styles. We will fix everything using styles. After the platform to Jana. The same thing means, again, copy-paste. For me, keys. And we output this specific variable. So here they are, our genres. Here is all this data. Yes, probably. We will also display it for you in a separate container, starting from here. After this data, we have metadata. For metadata, We can also use such a system with verification, because if they are not present, well, here and in general, yes, I did these checks, but they don't really affect the containers themselves. I did not include them in the verification. Still, it is probably necessary to include them, so that if there is no data, an empty container is not displayed. Let's improve this. Let's cut it out from here. Platforms, so that containers are only shown when there are some values. Here we deal with platforms. We open before the loop and after the loop. We will add a closing div like this. We'll shift this a little like this. And then we eliminate the need to use a container here. We simply display the variable. And essentially, if there are no terms, it will return emptiness here. The same goes for genres. We remove it from here. That is, since we started with checks. We do this correctly. So, and genres here. And the closing one okay, good. Next, let's return to the meta. For the publisher, I'll include the metadata. So if it exists, when ondensed with the class especially, name more HTML pressure. Next, we extract the value through the meta. We close. And here we close this div. Otherwise null. And this variable. We display right here. So publisher Ubisoft. Where did I get the word publisher from? It's written here as publisher Ubisoft. Here it's just Ubisoft. The word publisher, it needs to be specified. So obviously, of course, right? Then we in separate tags. We'll do the same for single player. And for the date. Yes, let's see how it needs to be displayed, and it will need to be converted now. Format. And we will pass this output through a function for date conversion. Therefore, right here where the output is, we will use the date function. We will pass the format. Our format is day, month, year. Full month, enter, full year, so in uppercase. We will pass the value. To closing brackets, we place a lot of product data, and it's tedious to write this. You might make a typo, but what can you do? So the sequence is as follows. Let's make sure. Yes, wonderful. Here our date is converted, and with this section we are done. Another section follows. We exit it. Let's game price, not just game price, price and button. And here we will have where you game price only. Where we have it so neatly. So defektowa shield added here will be game. In this particular section, our primary focus is on the button, which plays a crucial role in the user interface. It. We have here, it will likely be our own personal link, so let's build it. Since I need to set this label, that is the value for the button, for the link, so to speak. And as for the link itself, we will generate it. Essentially, I will be inserting the link, the get variable, add to cart. And I will pass the product ID, and it automatically redirects to the cart and adds this product. So it seems logical. Let's check. Let's test it. Yes, wonderful. It works, but we haven't implemented the cart yet. Let's continue. We have an image slider. Now we will display it. It's the same system. That is, we will output some variable here. Let's call it game screens. Let's call it screens HTML, like, and here we will create it. but we will also take the images themselves. So they are uploaded for us. For the product, this gallery, therefore let's try to access our game object. And using the getIdGallery method, image and IDs, we will get these IDs. Next, if we receive something, let's see what it generated for us. If we receive something, then we open a container for ourselves in this container. Let's have an H4. This is the heading that is present there. Then there will be another container for the slider. And don't forget to close it, then we go through the loop and matches inside the game screen layer, and we will probably add more later. We will add a separate container for the swiper, but okay. Then using VP, get a touch, I take the matches through the tags, the original size. Looks logical. Now, we essentially have two more images that should be displayed. Everything is very good. These images are there. We can already build the slider. And the last thing we have is this description, which I think we saved in the meta, then the same. Application here. Oh, description. Let's take such an ID, cheaper. I don't know which one I'll take here. We probably don't have it. Well, let's take this one. But the only thing is, I think our ID has an underscore. I named the attribute without an underscore, the ID with an underscore. So here, too. H4 is also made like this. And did I display it or not? The lesson turned out to be very tiring, and I already forgot. I think I didn't display it. Yes, of course I didn't display it. And this one will be right after the game screen. Like this. Let's check now. But we have this variable here, so it always scrolls to the basket. All right, moving on. We see, yes, we have escape ITS, no? But all HTML. So we need to replace this function with VP keys. Escape doesn't suit us specifically in this case, so here we have output, VVP, CSS, post. And this function will only allow HTML tags from the editor. And they will already be interpreted. See, they are being interpreted. Another issue is that the tag is there, but there are no styles. So it's not visible here in the draft, but the tag itself is present. That's it. We are done. We have implemented the tasks for the block. All the data we have in the layout, we have displayed in the admin panel. This concludes the current lesson. In the next lesson, we will continue and work with styles. We will arrange all of this in such a wonderful, long manner. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next lesson.